Scene 3. So, Macbeth has done this line here where he says, things bad begun make strong themselves by ill. So I have to do more crimes to secure myself in my status. Act 3, Scene 3 is out in the forest, right? It is on the road in the forest where Banquo and Fleance are riding their horses. Okay. Remember, Macbeth says to the murderers, I'll tell you where they're going to be. You hide in the bush. When they come past, jump out, kill them. No Banquo, no kids. Everybody's happy. Well, he's happy, I guess. First murderer. You'll be loud, please. And also, do a thing that we call acting, where you pretend to be the person that you're reading, rather than just be yourself. First murderer. Right, this is really weird, right? So he says, the first murderer says to the third murderer, who told you to come here? Who told you to come with us? Right? Who did bid thee join with us? So he's confused, right? Who is this third murderer? Now, critics have debated this for centuries. Who is this murderer, right? Macbeth hired 2 murderers, and yet some third bloke has turned up, and he's like, I heard there's a murder happening, can I be involved? Right? Who is this guy? So one of the strong theories is? It's not Banquo, is it? Because Banquo's going to be killed. One of the theories is that it is Macbeth himself. Okay? Some people argue that Macbeth goes himself to see that it is done. Right? But it is a mystery. It is a mystery forever. No one knows who the third murderer is. But then he says, who are you? Who sent you? Yeah. Well, maybe he's lying, right? So maybe he's in a hood, and he's like, I was sent by Macbeth.
Are they all in hoods?
Probably, yeah, because they're murderers, aren't they? They're in masks and hoods. The point is this, folks. Nobody knows. Nobody knows. It could be a typo, whatever. Second murderer.
He needs not our mistrust, since he delivers our officers and what we have to do to the direction just.
Yeah, so he can trust us. But he needs not our mistrust. So I need to speed. If you want to read a part, I need to be speed up. Okay. Thank you. Right. Milo. That's the first warning for you. Okay, it's not all right. If you do it again, you're going out the lesson. We have some maturity. I also remind you I'm recording this, please. This is very, very irritating. Levi, same goes for you. Right, so it's sunset. So they go, there's still some day. We want to do it at night where we won't be seen. Okay? So they're travelling. Third murderer.
Then 'tis he, the rest, that are within the note of expectation already are I the cause.
Good. Thank you. So they see the torches. The torch is approaching. Yep. Enter Banquo and Fleance with a torch. Mike, do yours again, please. Yeah, so he says this comment, which of course is just about the weather, but also rain is symbolic of misery and sadness. So the first murderer goes, "Let it come down," and they attack Banquo. So these 3 murderers attack Banquo. And he dies. So they kill him. So they kill Banquo. But as they're killing him, he tells Fleance to run away, or to fly away like a bird, so escape and revenge me, right? So this idea of sort of like the honour of like revenging your father's death.
One down. This one is split.
We have lost the best half of our film.
We'll get to wait and see how much is down.
Good, so it's a failure. So this is key, right? So Fleance escapes. Now this is massively, massively key because Macbeth would only be satisfied if both Banquo and Fleance are dead. Banquo is killed, but Fleance escapes. And they say, we have failed. We've lost the best half of our affair. So we've lost half of our job. Let's say how much is done. So they're going to report to Macbeth. But of course Macbeth is going to be very unhappy about this because the prophecy says that the children of Banquo will be kings. So Fleance becomes this threat. Okay, so he cannot be satisfied because of this situation. Okay, so straight into Act 3, Scene 4. So this is the banquet. Now the banquet is a celebration of Macbeth becoming the king. Okay, so he's kind of in his role as king now, right? So everyone's there, big crowd of people. So there was a big crowd, but also these are important people. So all the Thanes, everybody that's got power and status at Macbeth's banquet. I'll give out some more parts as we go. Thank you for reading before. You know your own degrees. So your own degrees is your status. Sit down. At first and last, a hearty welcome. So he welcomes his guests, says sit down. You can all be lords. All together, please. Thanks to your majesty, right? So majesty, of course, is king. Okay. So this is a big party. Supposed to be a big celebration of him becoming the king. Ourself will mingle with society and play the humble host. Our hostess keeps her state, but in best time we will require her welcome. So at the minute, Lady Macbeth is away, but she's coming soon, and he's going to notice this word here, right? He's going to play the humble host. So he's going to socialise, right? So he's going to sort of play the part of king, like walk around. Do you know what mingling is? So like, how are you? How are your horses? Just chat to all the people who've come to the party. Lady Macbeth turns up. Oh, who must be Lady? You want Lady Macbeth? Go on then. Yeah, so she gives another nice thing, right? At which point the murderers appear at the door. The murderers appear at the door. See, they encounter thee with their heart's thanks. Both sides are even. Here I'll sit in the midst. Be large in mirth. Mirth is happiness. Anon will drink and measure the table round. There's blood on thy face. So now, to get this scene right, we're going to do a few bits of slashes like this. So this is said to the murderer, and this is said to the guests. Okay? So he says, if you look at the table, right, if the table's like this, okay, he says that both sides of the table where people are sitting are full, so he will sit in the middle. Okay? Now whoever sits in the middle of the table has the power. Okay? Now what you've got to imagine is this. In this scene, all of his guests are here chatting, and at the door up here is the murderer, and Macbeth is in the middle. So what he's doing a lot in this scene is like, if I'm Macbeth, I'm going, welcome everybody, sit down, have a drink. But I'm talking to the murderer at the same time, there's blood on my face. So he's trying to sort of have two conversations at once. One is a very public conversation, and one is a slightly awkward conversation. So if I do a slash in the page, it means that he's flipping who he's talking to. Right? What you see is almost like the way that he can switch, like a snake. He can be both, ha-ha, welcome, jolly, mirth, but then, is he dead? So he's got a kind of, almost like a bit of a sort of, like a duplicitous attitude. He can do both of these things. There is blood on thy face. First murderer. Yeah. It is better thee without than he within. So the blood is better on your face than within his body, because it means that he's dead. Is he dispatched? Meaning dead. Yeah. So he's dead. I slit his throat. Right. I did it personally. Thou art the best of the cutthroats. Yet he's good that did the like for Fleance. If thou didst, thou art the non-pari. So non-pari is an old word which means unparalleled. Unparalleled, right? If you've also slit Fleance's throat, then you are unequalled, unparalleled. First murderer. Fleance is escaped. Can you pull that chain so it goes up? Thank you. Fleance is escaped. Now this, of course, is his actual worst nightmare, right? Because this is the prophecy. He wasn't really scared of Banquo. He's scared of Banquo's children. Fleance is escaped. Then here comes my fit again. A fit being like a sort of like, almost like a kind of a panic attack, right? Else I had else been perfect, as broad and general as the casing air. But now I am cabin, cribbed, confined, bound in saucy doubts and fears. Okay. So he says, oh sorry, I missed a line, didn't I? Right. So here goes my fit again. I had else been perfect, whole as the marble, founded as the rock, broad and general as the casing air. So he says, if you told me that Fleance was dead, I would be like these things, right? They are solid and clear. He's like, my life would be simple and easy. But now I am cabined, cribbed, confined. What do all those three words have in common? Cabin, cribbed, confined. So? They all start with a C, yes, so it's alliteration, but talk about it please. What do they have in common? What does it mean to be cabined? Right, now to be cabined is to be stuck in a little house, like cabin fever, right? Cribbed is where babies are. They can't get out of the crib. Confined is to be held down. So all of these words represent the way that he feels constrained, right? Constrained and stuck, right? Bound, like bound in ropes, tied up in saucy doubts and fears. So he's scared, right? My mind is scared because I know the prophecy can still come true. But Banquo's safe. Yeah, so he says, is Banquo safe? Now by safe he means, is he dead? Like, is that situation safe? And he says, yes, my lord, he's in a ditch. Right? How many times has he been stabbed in the head? 20. With 20 stabs in the head. Each of them good enough to kill him. So this is quite extreme. Now what I would say here, right, is that this is quite it's quite undignified, right? Now Banquo is a great hero, and he has been left in a ditch with 20 knife stabs in his head. So they've really done him, right? But again, for a hero, it's not really the way that you're supposed to. It's not an honourable death. Constrained and stuck, right? He feels like he's tied up, right? He can't move. He's not free. That's a better way of saying it, right? He is not free. Okay. He says, "I would be like the air." Right, free and able to move around, but no, I'm stuck. That's one of the key quotes, by the way, that we'll come back to later on, so you can highlight it if you wish to. Now, thanks for that. Thanks for that. There have grown here. There, the grown serpent lies. The worm that's fled have nature that in time will venom breed. So he says, Banquo is a serpent, right? So Banquo is dead. Who's the worm? Fleance. He says that right now Fleance is a little worm, right? Little worm. He can't hurt me right now. He's a little boy. but in time, he will grow into a snake, right? And he'll be a snake with venom. So he goes, I know that at some point in my life, that boy will come back as a man to kill me. Yeah? He will want vengeance for his father. But not for a long time, right? If Fleance is probably about 10 years old, he's thinking, I've probably got 10 years until that boy comes back to kill me, right? So he's trying to convince himself in a way. He's trying to convince himself not to worry. He goes, okay, right, Banquo's dead. The only person I have to kill now is Fleance. I've got 10 years to kill him, right? No need to panic. He currently has no teeth. No teeth for the present, okay? Teeth being sort of violence. Get thee gone. Tomorrow we'll hear ourselves again. Exit the murderer.
My lord, you do not give the chair, the feast itself, that is not often Dutch, well is given with welcome, please your best that way, once the sword to me is served, using your bad around it.
Yeah, good. So this is about starting the feast. So she says, my lord, you do not give the cheer. So the whole time that he's been chatting with this murderer, everyone else has been sitting there being like, when's this going to start? Because no one's allowed to eat or drink until the king does. So all the food's there, all the drink's there, and they're all like this, waiting for him to have this conversation. And she's like, my lord, you need to begin the feast, right? So sort of do his duty and bring himself back into the world. Sweet remembrance, sir. This is his toast to the crowd. Now good digestion wait on appetite, and health on both. So he says, I hope everyone eats well, hope everybody is healthy. Right? Just general nice comments. Lennox. Come on, Molly. Lennox. So he says to, now this is where you've got to think a little about this, right? So he says, Lennox says, my lord, have a seat. The only seat that is empty is Macbeth's seat. So he goes, I will sit here, this is my chair. He then goes, has a conversation with the murderer, turns around, gives the toast, and Lennox says, my lord, sit down. When he looks at the seat, Banquo's in the seat, as a ghost, right? With all the blood coming out of his head, all the mortal stab wounds in his head, okay? Now again, this is a bit like, so the ghost of Banquo enters and sits in Macbeth's place. Notice that, please. Now, of course, this is also about the prophecy, about the idea of Banquo's children taking his place. So the place is both the stool, but is also the crown as well. So he says, sit down. Now at this point, Macbeth does not see him. He does not see Banquo's ghost. So he still hasn't seen him. Here we have now our country's honour roofed. So under this roof is all the best people, right? Were the grace person of Banquo present. So the only person that's absent is Banquo, who I may rather challenge for unkindness than pity for mischance. Because I hope the reason he's not here is because he's being rude rather than something bad has happened to him. So of course here he is again lying. So he says, I hope that it is rudeness rather than a problem. Need a Ross. He looks like a murderer. Need a Ross. Ross. Yes, Aurora, thank you.
His absence therefore is bring upon the promise. Please, your highness, to grace us with your royal company.
The table's full. So at this point, he doesn't see the ghost, right? So this is kind of funny because he says to them, he goes, oh, everybody's here who should be here apart from Banquo, and I really hope it's just because he's being rude rather than because something bad has happened to him. And then Ross says, oh, he's to blame, sir. It's an insult to you that he's not here. But please sit down. And he looks at the table, he sees no empty spaces. Right? Alex?
Who is the place concerning itself?
Where?
Who, my good Lord? What is the news of harm?
Which of you have done this? We're all lords, right? What, my lord? So this is interesting because he says, here's a spot for you. Where? Here. And he points at the stool, and then he says, what's that moves you? Now remember, to be moved is to be shocked. So he just goes, what's wrong? And he goes, which of you have done this? Like it's a joke, right? Which of you have done this? What, my good Lord? Thou canst not say that I did. Never shake thy gory locks at me. Never. Interesting, right? Now the gory locks is hair, and gory is blood. So what he sees is Banquo at the table with just like blood all over his hair, like long hair matted with blood, sort of like doing this, shaking his head. And he's like, never shake thy gory locks at me. Ross.
Gentlemen, rise, his hand is not well. Sit, worthy friend. My lord is of the nuts, and hath placed in his youth. Pray you, keep seat. His bed is melancholy, upon a thought. He will again be well. If much you know him, we shall advance him to extend his passion. See you, and regard you not. Are you a man?
Yeah, so this again is a slash. So this is to the guess here, and then this is to Macbeth. So Macbeth just basically starts going crazy, right? So now remember, this is another decision the director has to make. Okay, so when you have the scene, some directors will put a ghost in it, right? So dress up as a ghost, bloody hair, and do all this, and then when Macbeth is like, ah, as an audience we're like, oh, okay, we see it. Some directors just have an empty scene, so it's like, ah. And he looks mad because he's like going crazy in NTC. And Law says, well, he's not well. And Lady Macbeth says, no, it's fine. He does this, right? Since he was a kid, since he was young, he has these momentary fits, right? Just stay where you are and it will pass. And she goes, are you a man? Like, what are you doing? What are you doing? Now this, of course, is her old technique, right? This is her old trick, which is to try and control him by twisting his masculinity. I am a bold one, that dare look on that which might appall the devil. So he says, yeah, I'm a man, a brave man that would look upon this monstrosity.
Oh, a proper start. This is the very painting of his fear. This is the airborne devil which, he said, led him to Duncan. Oh, these falls and starts, impulses to true fear, would well become a woman's story after Lincoln's fire, authorized by her grandeur. Shame itself! Why do you make such haste at that? When all is done, you look but on a stool.
Such a good line, right? When all is done, you look but on a stool. But of course, this again is another misunderstanding. She cannot see the ghost. So she goes, what is wrong with you when you're at the end of the day you're looking upon a stool? So there's a few things here. Now what's interesting to me is that he clearly tells her about the dagger, right? He tells her the dagger. So he tells her and he says, this is like the dagger. It's a hallucination that you told me about, right? The way you're behaving, bit of old-fashioned sexism for you, is like a woman's story at a winter fire. So it's over-dramatic. So she says you're behaving like a woman, right? Telling a story. Oh, and then, oh, I know, right? At a winter's fire. So to warm people up, okay? When all's done, you look but on a stool. Prithee, see there, behold, look! Lo, how say you? Why, what care I, if thou cannot speak too? If charnel houses and our graves must send those we bury back, our monuments shall be the moors of kites. So Banquo is not speaking, right? Banquo is silent, but he is nodding, right? So the ghost is like this, and he's like, if you can nod, say something. Now a charnel house, underline that please, is where they used to store bones, and graves of course are dead bodies. So he says, if the charnel houses and the graves start sending back the dead, our monuments will become like parties of people who have died. The ghost of Banquo vanishes. Vanishes.
What? Why if I'm random toilet?
If I stand here, I saw him.
Why? It's a shame.
So he's a bit doubtful now, right? He goes, I saw him. Shame, right? She says it a few times. Shame. Up here. Shame. Blood have been shed here now. In the olden time, ere human statute purrs the gentle wheel, and since too murders have been performed, too terrible for the ear. The times have been that when the brains were out, the man would die, and there an end. But now they rise again. So he talks about this, right? Now, blood have been shed. So, of course, he's talking about murder. And he says here, I like this quote, right? The time was when the brains were out, the man would die, and there would be an end. So, there's this idea that he has where he goes, I've killed so many people in my life as a soldier. So it used to be that when you killed a person and the brains were out, you smashed their brains out, that they would die. And that would be the end of it. But now, they rise again. So he's like, I'm haunted. So I've killed all these people, I never thought about it twice. But now, they rise again. Now, of course, what he's referring to here is being haunted, but by Banquo, but also by Duncan. So we get a little insight into his mind that he is kind of reliving this. One sec. They rise again with 20 mortal murders on their crowns, and push us from our stools. This is more strange than such a murder is. So again, he's being haunted. Yes, Julia. Sorry? We don't know. It's likely what's happening is they're having this kind of private conversation, because she's sort of like ashamed, right? You're a man. Pull yourself together. And he's like, I don't know what's happening to me. It used to be that I could kill people and I could get over it, and now I can't. Right now, I'm being haunted by the images and the ghosts.
My word is you're making sense to me.
Yeah. So this sense of like ignoring the crowd. So they're just sort of waiting. There's kind of awkwardness to this scene, which is that they're kind of at his party and he's kind of flitting between madness and conspiracy. I do forget. Do not muse at me, my most worthy friends. I have a strange infirmity, like a problem, which is nothing to those that know me. Okay, to muse, of course, means to worry. So don't worry about me. I'm fine. I have this weird thing that people who know me know it's no big deal. Come, love and health to all. Then I'll sit. Give me some wine. Fill full. I drink to the general joy of the whole table, and to our dear friend Banquo, whom we miss. Would he were here. To all and him we first. All to all. Thank you, lords. Re-enter the ghost of Banquo. Avaunt! Quit my sight! Let the earth hide thee. Thy bones are marrowless. Thy blood is cold. Thou hast no speculation in those eyes which thou dost glare with. So he pops back. So it's like just at the point where he sort of gets it back together, and he's like, sorry, I have this weird thing I do where I just yell out, but for those of you who know me, it's not that big a deal. Everything is absolutely fine. Good health. And then straight away he's like, ah! Ah! Right? He says, oh, you're not real. Right? Your bones are marrowless. Your blood is cold. So he tries to convince himself that it's not real, but of course even though he knows Banquo's ghost isn't real, when you see a ghost, it's still very, very scary.
Thinking yes, good thing, but as a king's husband, there's no other, only it spoils the temple.
What man dare I dare? Approach thou like the rugged Russian bear, the armed rhinoceros, the Hykran tiger. Any shape but that, and my firm nerves shall never tremble. So he says, come to me as any of these things, right? If you were a bear or a tiger or a rhino, I would not fear you, right? So there's no fear. Okay, now of course those are all very powerful animals. So if you were a bear or a rhino, right, I would not be fearful. Or be alive again, right? And dare me to the desert with thy sword. If trembling I inhabit them, protest me, the baby of a girl. Hence, horrible shadow, mockery, hence, unreal mockery. So he says, I can handle anything but this, right? If you were a bear or a rhino or a tiger, or any formal shape than what you are right now, I would be strong and fearless, right? Or, if you were alive and challenged me to a fight, I would fight you, right? I cannot fight this. Why? Because it's in his mind, right? He's like, I can't fight my own mind. Okay? So shadows are things of the past. Okay? I told you this was a big scene, right? So he cannot fight his own mind. The ghost of Banquo vanishes. So everyone sees him do this. He's like a rhino, a tiger, rhinoceros, tiger, a bear, right? Or be alive again. But of course, all they see is an empty chair. Oh, why so? Being gone, I am a man again. Pray you sit still. Yeah, so you've basically here, you broke the good meeting disorder. So you've ruined the party, basically, right? So he's like, no, everyone stay, right? Sit still, stay. And they've all started to leave, and she's like, you've ruined it, right? You've ruined the party with your behaviour. Can such things be? Can such things be and overcome us like a summer's cloud, without our special wonder? So summer's cloud, of course, is the idea that in summer you have the sun, and then you have a cloud, right, and that it blocks the sun. So there's an idea here about sort of like darkness. So darkness can descend on us for a moment, like a cloud blocking the sun. So how can it be that these things can happen and we don't think about them? You make me strange, even to the disposition that I owe, when now I think that you can behold such sights, and keep the natural ruby of your cheeks, when mine is blanched with fear. So in this bit here, please underline this, right? You can behold such sights and keep the natural ruby of your cheeks, mine is blanched with fear. So he says to her, how could you look at that ghost and not be scared? Well, does he not understand? She can't see the ghost, like what are you doing? Right? So he says to her, How are you not scared? Okay, but of course she can't see the ghost, right? He says that his cheeks are blanched. To be blanched is to be white with fear. He says this to how can all of you sit there and not be scared by what has just happened? Ross?
What's that to me?
Yeah. So they're like what? Like what? There's a confusion.
I pray you, speak not. He rose worse and worse, question and rage. At once, good night. Stand not upon the order of your going, but fear of one.
Yeah, so she's kind of desperate here. She's desperate to get them to leave, right? Stand not upon the order of your going, but leave at once. So they used to, like, the most powerful people would leave first, and then they'd leave by like their rank and their status. So leave not by the order of your going, but go at once. Lennox? Exit all but Macbeth and Lady Macbeth. It will have blood, they say. Blood will have blood. Stones have been known to move and trees to speak. Augurs and understood relations have, by magpies and choughs and rooks, brought forth the secret of man's blood. What is the night? So now he's got this mad paranoia. So he's like, blood will have blood. So it will return to me. So can you keep focused, please? Yeah, so what is the night? So what is the time? Right? So it's almost morning. How sayest thou that Macduff denies his person at our great bidding? So where is Macduff? Right? I hear it by the way, but will send, there's not one of them, but in his house I keep a servant feed. I will tomorrow, and betimes I will to the weird sisters. More shall they speak, for now I am bent to know. By the worst means the worst. So he's going to return. So he's going to return to the witches because he wants more knowledge, right? He's stuck at this point in time because he doesn't know what to do, and he goes to the weird witches. He also says that in Macduff's house he has got spies. Spies in Macduff Castle. So he's feeling very paranoid at this point, right? He's feeling really paranoid. He doesn't know what to do because Files has escaped. He's seeing ghosts and he wants more answers. He's also worried about Macduff because Macduff, as a Thane, did not come to the feast. So he's like, where is Macduff? Now Macduff has fled to England. So Macduff has fled. We find this out later. To England to join Malcolm to try and overthrow Macbeth. For mine own good, all causes shall give way. This is a good quotation here. I'm in blood stepped in so far. I'm in blood stepped in so far. Should I wade no more, returning were as tedious as to go over. So he describes himself as wading in blood. So he says that I'm now so deep in the blood that it's the same to keep going and become more bloody than it is to go back on myself. So he's reached, in a way, I guess he's reached the point of no return. He says, I'm so far down this route of violence and murdering and bloodshed that I might as well just keep killing. Because to go back and try and undo what I've done is tedious, right? Pointless. So he's going to keep killing, basically. Strange things I have in head, that will to hand, which must be acted ere they be scanned. So he talks here about this idea that he has to take action. So his mind is so messed up right now that his only way of trying to deal with his mental problems is to try and do something about it. Right? Now the action, of course, is to go to the witches and try and essentially to solve his problem. Yeah. So you need to sleep, right? Come, will to sleep. My strange and self-abuse is the initiate fear that wants hard use. We are yet but young indeed. Okay. So to be young indeed means that they are sort of early in the journey. So there's a sense that there is like more to come. So this is a really interesting scene in terms of the play, because really what happens in this scene is that Macbeth is forced to go back to the witches. He tries to kill Banquo and kill Fleance, and therefore kill the prophecy. Because that fails, he is then unable to do so. He then says, well, I know what I'll do, I just won't think about it. I'll let it go. He's a little worm, he has no teeth. I won't think about it until later on when he comes back to me as a poisonous snake to get revenge. But as he tries to let it go out of his mind, he starts hallucinating Banquo's ghost. So he realises at this point that he can't just ignore it, right? His mind is too messed up just to ignore what's going on. He has to do something about it. But all he can think to do is to go to the witches. Now the first time, the witches come to him. But the second time, he goes to them. So he's now become like part of this sort of supernatural league of like devil worshippers and witch worshippers, right? But of course the idea is that he's not in control anymore, okay? At this point here, he has completely lost control and he is driven almost entirely by fate, okay? Which is why he goes back to the witches, because he thinks the witches can tell him his future. Okay. Now we don't have time to do we'll do these scenes on Tuesday. Okay. Act 3, Scene 5 on Tuesday. What I'd like you to do before you pack away, and please don't pack away yet, is can we summarise just that scene, please? Okay. Act 3, Scene 4.